The massive alien ships appeared without warning. One moment, Earth's orbital space was empty except for satellites and space stations. The next, 12 enormous vessels materialized, each one larger than the largest city on Earth. Their dark metal hulls absorbed sunlight like bottomless pits in space, and their shapes reminded Admiral Tom of ancient sea creatures he had seen in history books. Standing on the bridge of the EDF Defender, Earth's largest space vessel, Admiral Tom fought to keep his hands steady. 25 years of military service hadn't prepared him for this moment. None of their drills or simulations had expected aliens to possess technology that could bypass all of Earth's early warning systems. "Sir, they're broadcasting on all frequencies," reported Officer Jack, his fingers dancing across the holographic display. "The signal it's being transmitted in perfect English." Admiral Tom straightened his uniform. "Put it through." The main screen flickered to life, revealing a tall, imposing figure. The alien looked almost human, except for its gray skin and completely black eyes. It wore what appeared to be a military uniform covered in symbols that Tom assumed were rank insignia. "People of Earth," the alien spoke, its voice deep and emotionless. "I am the Grand Marshal of the Dominion Fleet. Your planet is now under our jurisdiction. Submit to our rule within the next 24 Earth hours, or face immediate extinction." Tom stepped forward, his voice firm despite his racing heart. "This is Admiral Tom of the Earth Defense Fleet. We are a sovereign planet and have no intention of surrendering. However, we are open to peaceful dialogue." "Peaceful dialogue," the Grand Marshal interrupted, letting out a sound that might have been a laugh. "We have conquered 47 civilizations across this galaxy. Some were more advanced than yours. Some fought harder than you will. All of them fell." The alien's black eyes seemed to stare directly into Tom's soul. "You have no concept of what you face." The transmission cut off abruptly, leaving the bridge in tense silence. "Sir," Officer Jack spoke up, his voice shaking slightly. "Long-range scans are picking up thousands more ships hiding behind Mars. This is just their forward fleet." Tom walked to the observation window, studying the alien vessels. Their sensors showed weapon systems far beyond anything humanity possessed. But something about the Grand Marshal's speech bothered him. The alien had spoken of conquering 47 civilizations, yet showed no interest in learning anything about Earth. They hadn't even tried to negotiate. "Get me a direct line to the World Council," Tom ordered, "and contact Dr. Marcus at Research Station Alpha. Tell him." Tom paused, remembering the classified briefing he'd received years ago about a secret project hidden in the Rocky Mountains. "Tell him it's time to open Pandora's box." The next few hours were a blur of activity. The World Council convened an emergency session. Military forces worldwide went on high alert. Civilians were advised to stay calm but prepare for possible evacuation to underground shelters. Through it all, the alien ships remained motionless, their presence a silent threat hanging over the planet. Tom received constant updates about unusual energy readings from the alien fleet. They were positioning themselves in a pattern that military analysts recognized as a standard orbital bombardment formation. If they attacked, Earth's major cities would be the first targets. As the deadline approached, Tom couldn't help but think about humanity's history. Every time they had faced extinction, from ice ages to plagues to their own nuclear weapons, they had survived through innovation and determination. Would that be enough against an enemy that had conquered 47 other worlds? His thoughts were interrupted by a priority message from Research Station Alpha. The text was brief but made his heart race. "Prometheus is ready, awaiting final authorization. May God help us all." Tom looked out at the alien ships once more. In less than an hour, humanity would either submit to alien rule or face extinction. Or perhaps, just perhaps, they had a third option that even the mighty Dominion hadn't considered. The countdown to humanity's greatest test had begun. Deep beneath the Rocky Mountains, behind blast doors thick enough to survive a nuclear strike, Dr. Marcus stood before the World Council on a massive video screen. The emergency bunker around him hummed with activity as scientists and engineers worked at their stations, their faces lit by the blue glow of computer screens. Project Prometheus began 50 years ago, Dr. Marcus said, running a hand through his gray hair. It started when we discovered something strange in ancient human DNA. The tired lines on his face deepened as he spoke, something that shouldn't have been there, a pattern that looked artificial. The World Council members leaned forward in their seats. These men and women represented every nation on Earth, gathered in their own secure locations as the alien fleet loomed overhead. None of them had known about Prometheus until today. "Are you saying someone modified human DNA?" asked the council president, her voice sharp with disbelief. "No," Dr. Marcus replied. "We're saying humans modified their own DNA. Thousands of years ago, our ancestors created a genetic key, then locked away their own potential." He pressed a button, and a hologram appeared beside him, showing a double helix with glowing sections highlighted. They left instructions, hidden in myths and legends across every culture. Stories about gods granting humans great power, about unlocking humanity's true form. The bunker's lights flickered as another power surge ran through the facility. Above ground, the alien ships had begun moving into attack positions. "We have 30 minutes until their deadline." Admiral Tom's voice came through the speakers. He was still aboard the EDF Defender, watching the alien fleet's movements. "Doctor, please tell me you're not basing Earth's survival on ancient mythology." Dr. Marcus smiled for the first time. "The myths led us to the discovery, Admiral, but what we built is pure science. Prometheus isn't a weapon. It's a key." He stepped aside, revealing a massive machine behind him. It looked like a giant ring made of dark metal, covered in patterns that seemed to shift and move when you looked at them directly. "The device creates a quantum field that will activate the dormant sections of human DNA," he explained. "Every human on Earth will be affected simultaneously. The power requirements are enormous. We'll need to tap into Earth's geothermal energy. And," he hesitated, "we've never tested it at full scale." "Because it might kill everyone on Earth?" someone asked. "Because we couldn't test it without the aliens noticing," Dr. Marcus corrected. "The energy signature would be visible from space. This is our only chance." The council president's face was grim. "And if it works, what exactly will it do to us?" Dr. Marcus looked at each council member in turn. "Based on our small-scale tests, it will awaken abilities that humans shouldn't have. Increased strength, enhanced intelligence, maybe even more. The myths speak of humans who could move objects with their minds, who could read thoughts, who cooled." "Sir," a young scientist interrupted, running up to Dr. Marcus with a tablet. "The aliens, they're powering up their weapons." The council president stood. "We're out of time. Doctor, you have authorization. God help us all if you're wrong." Dr. Marcus turned to his team. The massive ring behind him began to hum as power flowed into it. Warning lights flashed across every console as the facility drew more power than a small country. "Beginning primary activation sequence," he announced. "If anyone wants to pray, now would be the time." The ring's hum grew louder, and arcs of blue energy began to dance across its surface. In orbit, the alien ship's sensors detected the power spike, but by then it was too late. The countdown to humanity's transformation had begun. Dr. Marcus looked at the security feed showing the mountain above them. In the distance, the alien ships glowed as they prepared to fire. He took a deep breath and pressed the final activation button. "Let's show them why the gods themselves feared humanity's potential." The first alien shots lit up Earth's sky like new suns. Their energy weapons turned night into day as they struck Earth's orbital defense platforms. Admiral Tom watched from the bridge of the EDF Defender as humanity's first line of defense erupted into flames. "All ships, engage defensive pattern Delta," he ordered, his voice steady despite the chaos around him. Earth's space fleet might be smaller than the alien armada, but they had trained for this moment. Remember your training. We just need to buy Dr. Marcus more time. The human ships moved with surprising skill, their formations tighter and more disciplined than the Dominion expected. The aliens had grown overconfident after so many easy victories. They didn't expect Earth's ships to dart between their larger vessels, using the aliens' size against them. Direct hit on enemy vessel. Officer Jack shouted as their guns found their mark. The alien ship's shields flickered but held. Their armor is too strong, sir. Keep firing, Tom ordered. Every shot we land is one they have to block. Every minute we fight is another minute for PROMETEUS to power up. Below, on Earth's surface, the first bombs began to fall. The alien ships targeted military bases first, their weapons burning through concrete and steel like paper. But humanity had prepared for this too. Most bases were empty, their personnel and equipment moved to underground bunkers. In the Rocky Mountain facility, Dr. Marcus and his team worked frantically. The Prometheus device hummed louder with each passing minute, its ring now glowing so bright it hurt to look at directly. Power at 60%. A technician called out. But the aliens are targeting power plants worldwide. We're losing supply. Dr. Marcus wiped sweat from his forehead. Reroute through the geothermal taps. We planned for this. He checked another screen showing the battle above. Earth's ships fought bravely, but they were badly outnumbered. We need more power. The facility shook as an alien bomb struck the mountain above them. Dust fell from the ceiling. But the bunker held. They had built it to survive exactly this scenario. Back in space, Admiral Tom's fleet was taking heavy losses. The EDF Defender's shields sparked and sizzled as enemy fire pounded them. But they had destroyed 3 alien ships and damaged 7 more, far better than the Dominion had expected from a primitive species. Sir, Officer Jack's voice was tense. They're launching ground troops. Invasion forces heading for every major city. Tom gritted his teeth. The alien ships released thousands of smaller craft that streaked toward Earth like meteor showers. But as they entered the atmosphere, Earth revealed another surprise. Hidden anti-aircraft guns emerged from buildings and hillsides, filling the sky with explosive shells. The alien troops found that humans had spent decades preparing for invasion. Every city was a fortress. Every street could become a trap. Humanity might be outgunned, but they would make the Dominion pay for every inch of ground. In his command ship, the Grand Marshal watched with growing frustration. Impossible, he growled. Their technology is inferior. Their weapons are primitive. How are they still fighting? A junior officer approached nervously. Sir, we're detecting an enormous power spike from their northern continent. The energy readings are unlike anything we've seen before. In the mountain bunker, Dr. Marcus watched the power levels climb. 80%, 90%. The ring of Prometheus now pulsed with energy that their instruments couldn't even measure. Energy systems critical. The technician warned. The device is drawing more power than we thought possible. Dr. Marcus stood before the glowing ring, feeling its energy make his skin tingle. Above them, the aliens prepared their final assault. But for the first time since the invasion began, he smiled. Let them come, he whispered. They're about to learn why the ancient gods gave humans the fire of creation, and then tried to take it away. Admiral Tom stood on the badly damaged bridge of the EDF Defender. Smoke filled the air, and sparks flew from broken control panels. Half his fleet was destroyed, but they had taken down 12 Dominion ships, enough to make the aliens pause their advance. Open a channel to their command ship, he ordered. Blood trickled from a cut on his forehead, but his voice remained strong. And make sure every human radio and television can hear this too. Officer Jack worked at his damaged console. Channel open, sir. They're listening. Tom took a deep breath. This would be the most important speech of his life. Perhaps the most important speech in human history. Attention, Grand Marshal of the Dominion Fleet. I am giving you one final warning. On the alien command ship, The Grand Marshal watched the human admiral with amusement. These primitives had fought well, but their defeat was still certain. You dare to warn us? Your cities burn. Your fleets are broken. What possible threat could you offer? You're right about one thing, Tom replied, his image broadcasting to every screen on Earth and every alien ship. We are primitive compared to you. Our ships are weaker. Our weapons are less advanced. But there's something you should know about humans. He paused, checking a message from Dr. Marcus. Prometheus was almost ready. Throughout our history, every time we faced extinction, we survived. Ice ages, plagues, world wars, we lived through them all. And each time, we emerged stronger. The Grand Marshal's black eyes narrowed. Brave words will not save you. This isn't about bravery, Tom continued. It's about survival. You see, we knew aliens would come someday. We knew we might face a species like yours. So we did what humans always do. We prepared for the worst. Warning alarms blared on the alien ships as their sensors detected massive energy readings from Earth. The blue glow from the Rocky Mountains was now visible from space. Impossible, the Grand Marshal whispered. His scientists frantically reported energy readings that broke all their understood laws of physics. What have you done? We built something, Tom said simply. Something that would ensure humanity's survival against any threat. You gave us no choice but to use it. His next words sent chills through every alien who heard them. And now you get to learn why the ancient gods of Earth were so afraid of humans. In the mountain bunker, Dr. Marcus watched the power readings climb beyond anything they had ever tested. The Prometheus device's ring now spun with impossible speed, reality itself seeming to bend around it. Final sequence beginning, he reported. Point of no return in 30 seconds. The Grand Marshal's composure finally broke. You're bluffing. No primitive species could build a weapon of such power. That's your mistake, Tom replied calmly. You think it's a weapon. Just like you thought we were primitive. Just like you thought we would be an easy conquest. He allowed himself a small smile. You're about to learn how wrong you were about everything. The alien sensors showed the energy readings growing exponentially. Some of their instruments simply stopped working, unable to measure what was happening. The Grand Marshal ordered an immediate retreat, but Tom's voice stopped him cold. It's too late to run, the human admiral said. You wanted to see humanity's true power. Well, congratulations. You're about to be the first aliens in history to witness what humans can really do. As if to emphasize his words, the Prometheus device reached full power. The light from the Rocky Mountains now outshone the sun itself. The transformation of humanity was about to begin, and not even the mighty Dominion fleet could stop it now. The world held its breath as Prometheus reached full power. The massive ring spun faster than the eye could follow, its light drowning out everything else in the underground facility. Dr. Marcus and his team watched in awe as their life's work came to its final moment. Energy levels beyond maximum capacity, a technician shouted over the deafening hum. The device is pulling power from everywhere. It's tapping into Earth's core itself. Around the world, strange things began to happen. The northern lights appeared at the equator. Compasses spun wildly, unable to find north. Birds stopped in mid-flight, hovering impossibly in the air. It was as if the basic rules of reality were being rewritten. In orbit, the alien fleet's sensors went crazy. Their advanced technology, capable of measuring the smallest changes in space-time, couldn't make sense of what was happening on Earth. Sir, an alien officer called to the Grand Marshal. The energy readings, they're impossible. It's like they're creating a new form of physics. The Grand Marshal stared at the screens in horror. In all his years of conquering worlds, he had never seen anything like this. The humans weren't just using energy. They were reshaping it, controlling it in ways that should be impossible for their level of technology. Back in the mountain bunker, Dr. Marcus watched the final countdown. 10 seconds to full activation. The ring of Prometheus now glowed with every color imaginable, and some that had never existed before. Whatever happens next, it's been an honor working with you all. On the EDF Defender, Admiral Tom felt a strange tingling throughout his body. Every human on his ship reported the same sensation. It wasn't painful. It felt like electricity running through their veins, but somehow natural and right. "Sir," Officer Jack said in wonder, "look at your hands." Tom looked down. His skin seemed to be glowing from within, pulsing with the same rhythm as Prometheus. The same glow was spreading across Earth, visible even from space. Every human on the planet began to shine like living stars. The alien scientists panicked as their instruments detected changes in human DNA across the planet. It was as if an ancient lock was being opened, releasing something that had been trapped for thousands of years. 5 seconds. Dr. Marcus called out. The ring of Prometheus had become a perfect circle of light, so bright that even the special shields protecting the facility could barely contain it. 4. In cities worldwide, humans stopped fighting the alien ground forces. They stood perfectly still, their bodies humming with unexplained energy. 3. The alien fleet began an emergency retreat, but they were too late. The light from Earth now reached out into space itself. 2. Admiral Tom felt knowledge flooding into his mind. Ancient memories, hidden powers, the truth about humanity's past. 1. Dr. Marcus pressed the final button. For a split second, everything went completely silent. Then, Prometheus released its full power in a wave of energy that swept across the planet and into space. The aliens watched in terror as every human on Earth changed at once. The transformation lasted only seconds, but it rewrote the story of humanity forever. When it was done, humans were no longer the primitive species the Dominion had come to conquer. They had become something else, something that even their ancient ancestors had feared might be too powerful to control. The Grand Marshal's black eyes widened in disbelief. What are they now? Admiral Tom's voice came through the alien ship's speakers, but it had changed. It now carried power that made the aliens' advanced technology tremble. Now you get to see why the gods themselves once bowed to humanity. The first thing Admiral Tom noticed was the clarity. His mind felt like a supercomputer, processing information faster than ever before. He could sense every part of his ship, feel the movement of electrons through its circuits, understand its technology on a level that should have taken years of study. Amazing, Officer Jack whispered, staring at his hands as small arcs of energy danced between his fingers. All around the bridge, the crew was discovering their new abilities. Some could move objects without touching them. Others could see through walls. A few could even read the thoughts of the panicked aliens on nearby ships. We didn't just evolve, Tom realized. We remembered. Ancient knowledge flooded his mind. Memories passed down through DNA, locked away until Prometheus set them free. We were always meant to be this way. In the Rocky Mountain facility, Dr. Marcus watched in awe as data poured across his screens. The transformation is complete, he announced to the World Council. Every human on Earth has been enhanced. But it's more than just physical changes. We've unlocked abilities that our ancestors sealed away millennia ago. The alien fleet hung motionless in space, their sensors overwhelmed by the power now radiating from Earth. Each human glowed with energy that their instruments couldn't even measure. What had been a primitive species moments ago was now something that defied their understanding of evolution itself. On the ground, the alien invasion forces faced the impossible. Their weapons stopped working as humans simply willed them to shut down. Their armored vehicles floated helplessly in the air, controlled by people who now understood gravity itself. Their advanced shields meant nothing against humans who could step through solid matter. Impossible. The Grand Marshal raged on his command ship. No species can advance this quickly. No evolution can happen this fast. You're right. Admiral Tom's voice echoed in every alien mind. He didn't need communication systems anymore. This isn't evolution. This is restoration. His consciousness reached out, touching every alien ship, understanding their technology as if he had built it himself. We were like this before, in our ancient past, but we chose to lock these powers away until we were wise enough to use them. The truth became clear to the aliens. Humanity hadn't built a doomsday device. They had built a key to unlock their true nature, powers that even the Dominion, with all their advanced technology, couldn't match. Dr. Marcus smiled as he read the data. The stories were all true, he said. Every myth about gods and heroes, every legend about humans with incredible powers. They weren't stories at all. They were memories. Across Earth, humans began to understand their new abilities. They could reshape matter with a thought, heal injuries instantly, share knowledge across vast distances. The power that ancient humans had sealed away was now fully restored. In orbit, Tom raised his hand. With a simple gesture, he shut down every weapon in the alien fleet. "You came to conquer what you thought was a primitive world," he said to the Grand Marshal. "Instead, you helped us remember who we really are." The alien leader's black eyes showed fear for the first time. What are you?" "We are humanity restored," Tom answered. "We are what your people feared might exist somewhere in the galaxy, a species that evolved beyond the need for technology, beyond the limits of physical form." He paused, letting the aliens feel the weight of their mistake. "And now you have a choice. You can retreat and spread the word that Earth is under our protection, or you can witness firsthand why our ancestors chose to lock these powers away until we were ready to use them wisely." The Dominion fleet didn't need to discuss their decision. For the first time in their history of conquest, they ran. 1 month after the activation of Prometheus, Earth had changed more than anyone could have imagined. The scattered remains of alien ships still orbited the planet, now serving as research stations for humanity's scientists. Cities damaged in the invasion had been rebuilt in days, with humans using their new powers to reshape matter itself. Admiral Tom stood in the New World Council chamber, a beautiful building that seemed to float above the ground. Through its crystal walls, he could see the gleaming spires of the rebuilt city below. Dr. Marcus stood beside him, both men watching as representatives from 20 different alien civilizations approach Earth's orbit. "They're afraid," Tom said, sensing the aliens' emotions even from this distance. "Not just of our power, but of what we represent. Every enslaved species in the Dominion is asking questions now, wondering if they too have hidden potential." Dr. Marcus nodded. "The Dominion's empire is falling apart. Their conquered worlds are demanding freedom, and all of them want Earth's protection." He paused, looking at the data floating in the air around them. "We'd received 700 requests for alliance in the past week alone." In the months since their transformation, humans had learned to control their new abilities. They could travel through space without ships, communicate across galaxies with thought alone, and reshape reality itself. But with this power came great responsibility. "The hard part begins now," Tom said, watching as the alien diplomat ships entered Earth's atmosphere. "Our ancestors locked these powers away because they weren't ready to use them wisely. We have to prove we can do better." The World Council had established new laws governing the use of human abilities. No interfering with developing civilizations. No using powers for personal gain. Every human now had the strength of a god, but they had to live with the wisdom of one too. A young officer, formerly Jack from the EDF Defender, appeared beside them, stepping through the wall as if it wasn't there. "Sir, the first diplomatic meeting is ready to begin. The freed worlds want to establish a galactic protection alliance, with Earth as its guardian." Tom smiled. "Tell them we'll be right there." After Jack left, he turned to Dr. Marcus. "Did you ever imagine Prometheus would lead to this?" "Actually, I did," Dr. Marcus replied, surprising Tom. "In the facility's deepest vault, we found one last message from our ancestors. They didn't just lock away our powers, they set up this exact scenario." He waved his hand. and ancient symbols appeared in the air. They knew that only the threat of extinction would unite humanity enough to handle these abilities responsibly. Tom understood now. The Dominion's invasion forced us to work together, to prove we were ready for our true potential. He laughed softly. Our ancestors were clever, and now we have their wisdom too, Dr. Marcus added. Every human carries the memories of a civilization that reached the stars, learned hard lessons, and chose to start over. He gestured to the arriving alien ships. We can help these species avoid our mistakes. The diplomatic chamber filled with representatives from across the galaxy. Former slaves of the Dominion sat beside free worlds that had hidden from alien conquest. All of them looked to Earth for leadership, protection, and hope. Tom stepped forward to address them, his voice carrying the weight of humanity's new role in the universe. "Welcome to Earth," he said. "We have much to discuss about the future, not just of humanity, but of all species who wish to live in peace." As the meeting began, a new chapter in galactic history opened. Humanity had faced extinction and emerged transformed. They had unlocked their true potential, and with it, the responsibility to protect others. The age of human guardianship had begun, and somewhere, in the depths of space, their ancient ancestors smiled. Their children had finally grown up to inherit the stars.